Before we break down some Bears cut candidates here on Chicago Bears Now, go ahead and subscribe to Bears Now on Callin. Little challenge for you guys. Tweet at me on Twitter, at HGramNFL, a screenshot of proof that you have subbed on Callin. So hit the subscribe button, screenshot it showing that you're a subscriber, and then tweet at me, at HGramNFL. If you want a shout-out on a future show, everybody that does that is going to get a shout-out. So subscribe. Tweet me at HGramNFL a screenshot proof that you have subscribed on Callin, and let's continue to grow, and I'll shout you guys out on a future video. I'm your host, Harrison Graham, here on Bears Now. Today's show, Bears cut candidates, and hey, some guys are going to have to get cut, even some potential notable players between now and week 1, because Bears have 90 players on the roster right now, and 53 will be the final number before they tee it up against the 49ers in week 1 of the season. OTAs in the books, mandatory minicamp gets going June 14th through 16th, and then training camp is in late July. So you're kind of, there's been some evaluating going on from Eberflus, Poles, this coaching staff. Certainly not close to final decisions on key, bubble roster players, but you're starting, I would anticipate, to see real evaluations be made. Poles, Eberflus, they should have a pretty good feel at this point what the roster looks like. Now, training camp, that's going to be when things are decided. Preseason games, that's when things will really come into shape. But I think right now, Poles and Eberflus, if they had to today, could probably trim this roster down to about 60 or 70 pretty easily. Now, 53, that'd be tough. There's probably 15 to 20 guys right now battling for the final 10 spots. But I would guess they could get down to 70 right now if they wanted to, and then, the rest of that will be decided in camp and into the preseason. What do you guys think? Name a player the Bears should cut. Just name somebody. Any player on the roster that you want out of here that should not be on this team any longer. Name a player that you guys believe the Bears should go out and cut today. So we'll break down some cut candidates, 5 players for you guys that I think could be on the move. How about Jeremiah Attaochu? Jeremiah Attaochu, edge rusher who got signed to a 2-year deal before last season, got injured, has taken 0 snaps for this team. I think is a prime cut candidate. You can actually save decent money if you cut him, $2.7 million. Dead cap would only be $400,000. It would suck because you would have gotten 0 production out of a guy you gave a 2-year deal to after he missed all of last season. But at the end of the day, if you want to save a few $1 million, Jeremiah Attaochu, not a guy who's going to be a part of the future. I think he could make some sense. I think he got enough bodies on the edge. I would probably rather keep a guy like Charles Snowden than Jeremiah Attaochu. That's just my opinion. You're not super deep at edge, but I think he's a guy that you could cut loose and feel like you're okay at that position. Let's get to Duke Shelley, the cornerback. And Pops, if you're watching, Duke Shelley's dad, we've DM'd a couple of times before. Appreciate the support. This is not the anti-Duke show, but it's a new regime, and he was on the roster bubble last year. This regime owes Duke Shelley nothing, for being completely honest. If you cut him, save about $1 million. Dead cap, $31,000. No, that's basically 0 against your books, so that would not be that big of a deal either. But I do think he's a guy that could get cut. Because you think about this depth chart. You look at this roster. Where does Duke Shelley fit? Okay, who's for sure making the team? Jalen Johnson. He's in. Kyle Gordon. He's in. I think Tavon Young is making this team unless something unforeseen happens. Kendall Vilder, I think he might be in over Shelley because he could play outside and nickel. Duke Shelley's kind of purely a nickel. I think Thomas Graham makes this team. Reports out of OTAs that he's getting some opportunities at nickel, could compete with Tavon Young. I don't know where Duke Shelley fits. I really don't. I don't know how many corners the Bears are going to keep. Are they going to keep 6 corners? They could. If they do, Duke Shelley would probably make this football team. But as of now, if they keep 5 or less, it's probably down to him and Kendall Vilder. And, they might go with a guy that was drafted just a couple of years ago over a guy like Duke Shelley. What do you guys think? Does Duke Shelley get cut by the Bears? Type Y for yes. Type in for no. Here's to see where you guys land on this one down in the comments section. Y for yes, in for no. Does Duke Shelley get cut by the Chicago Bears? All right, next up, Sam Mustipher, who, listen, he deserves credit. He's been a guy that played hard and earned an opportunity, started the last year and a half at center. But the reality is they signed Lucas Patrick. So he's going to start at center. Mustipher might get a chance at right guard, but if he doesn't show a lot there, you guys see the savings. To save $900,000, no dead cap penalty if they cut him. If he can't start at right guard, I mean, who are you keeping him over? Like, I'm keeping these rookies over Mustipher, in my opinion. Like, Kramer, if he shows enough, he's the backup center. J-Tire Carter, I'd rather keep him than Mustipher. You just drafted him. Zach Thomas, I'm keeping him on the 53 man. I just don't know. Braxton Jones, same deal. Where does Mustipher fit? Unless he shows a lot at guard that he can at least be a high-level interior backup or even a starter at right guard, I think he could be gone, and I think there's a decent chance he will be gone at the end of the day. I think it's going to be an uphill battle. He's going to have to show this new regime a lot to make this roster. All right, Bears fans, a lot of these guys could get cut after training camp. Speaking of training camp, let's get to 50,000 subscribers by training camp. We're 1,842 away. We got about 6 weeks. Can we get there? Can we do it? I think we can. I think we can get to 50,000 subscribers. That is my challenge to you. Hit that sub button, daily videos here on the Chicago Bears. David Moore next up, who the Bears signed to a one-year deal this offseason. David Moore, who's done some good things in the past, but it's been a couple of years since he's been productive. Same deal, money-wise, $900,000, zero dead cap hit if he gets cut. So a non-guaranteed deal. Listen, it's going to be heavy competition at receiver. We can do what we did at corner. Who's for sure making the team? Darnell Mooney, Byron Pringle, Velus Jones, and I think as well, Equinemius St. Brown, I think they're all in. I think they're all going to make the team. And let's just say the Bears keep 6 receivers. Okay. I think guys like David Moore, Daz Newsome, Tajay Sharp, Dante Pettis, all competing for 1 or 2 spots. So, it's going to be tough, right? David Moore's not old, but he's a little bit older than some of these other guys. Lots of competition for depth, which I'm excited about, by the way. You create competition, guys are going to emerge. That's a good thing. That's what this team needs. They need good, healthy competition. The question is, where does David Moore fit into all that? Can he contribute on special teams? He probably needs to prove that he can to be a part of this team moving forward. I think he could be a guy on the outside looking in. Here's to see what you guys think, though. Let's say 2 of these 3 make the roster. Which guy's getting cut? Type M for David Moore. Type P for Dante Pettis, who Tyke Tolbert actually spoke pretty highly of about a month ago, the receivers coach. Tajay Sharp, who's done decent things the last couple of years. Type S. I think out of those 3, I'm cutting David Moore. So let me know. M for Moore, P for Pettis, or S for Tajay Sharp. All right, final cut candidate. And this one, I'm not even advocating for it because I like Angelo Blackson, but you can save about $2.5 million if you do cut him. You look at this depth chart, though. I don't know how he translates to a 4-3. I think he's a 3-4, kind of rotational guy. 4-3, can he play some of that one tech for you? Maybe. It's a position of weakness, so I would probably keep Angelo Blackson because he can at least do some things. But I have no idea how the new regime views Angelo Blackson. Do they view him as a contributor? Do they think he could maybe even start? Maybe. Do they think he's not a piece? Also a possibility as well. I don't know how Eberflus, Alan Williams, these defensive coaches feel about Angelo Blackson, so I think he could get cut because you can save over $2 million. I actually liked what he did last year, especially down the stretch when some guys got banged up. Akeem Hicks was out, and he was getting some opportunities. 2.5 sacks, 9 quarterback hits. 2 pass breakups as a defensive lineman as well. Got some pause on some passes. I think that's those are some pretty good numbers there for Angelo Blackson. But at the end of the day, it's a new regime now, and he's a career rotation guy. So I think it's very, very tough to kind of project where he's going to fit into this whole thing. So there you go. 5 cut candidates for the Chicago Bears. Jeremiah Attaochu, Duke Shelley, Sam Mustipher, David Moore, Angelo Blackson. Obviously, tons of guys are going to get cut, but these are just some somewhat notable names that I think could be on the outside looking in, once we get into middle of training camp. But competition is going to be heavy this year, and I think that's going to bring the best out of a lot of these guys. Name a player that the Bears should cut in your opinion. I want to know down in the comments section. Maybe you agree with some players on my list. Maybe you don't. Let us know right now. And while you're at it, subscribe to Bears Now on Callin, chatsports.com/BearsCallin. Also, download Callin, the Callin app on your smartphone. iOS, Android, we have links to both down to the description. And then either search Bears Now or type in the link, and it'll redirect you to the app. And you can subscribe to Bears Now as well. Your chance to call in directly to me and interact with myself and talk some Bears football.